Mrs. Wright, it's been very interesting discussing these issues about these changes in your emotional state. And I'm just wondering whether, as part of us getting this a bit clearer, what would really help me is, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like you to fill in one of these questionnaires I have here. It's called the Beck Depression Inventory, and it would help me understand a little bit more about whether or not the depression you've been describing, the low mood you've been describing, and the fatigue you've been describing, whether this all fits together as part of a pattern of a clinical depression. Now, it's just a small questionnaire, 21 questions, and basically asking how you have felt over the last 2 weeks. It shouldn't take more than a few minutes to fill in. Would you feel comfortable about filling something like that in for me?
So I just answer the questions?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As quickly as you can. I don't want you to sort of sit there pondering what's the right answer here. I want you to look at it very much as okay, that's the one that fits best for me, and move on to the next one. Okay, without worrying about it, because I don't want it to be another source of worry. Would that feel all right?
I could have a go.
Okay, fine. And then what we'll do is, once you've filled it in, I'll score it up, so we can see where this score fits in terms of typical presentation for people, as to how much depression you have. And we'll look at some of the answers that you've given to specific questions, just to clarify what you've been experiencing. Does that feel all right?
Well, I'll tell you when I've seen the questionnaire.
That's a good idea, yeah. So, well, this is the questionnaire. All right, so as I say, it's just the 21 questions on this side and on the other side. And for each question, you're given 4 options. And what I'd like you to do is just pick, for each of these topics, which of those options best describes you in terms of how you felt during the last couple of weeks. Okay? And then when you finished it, as I say, don't worry about the answers, because we've got plenty of time to sort of check that over and discuss any issues that come up. Just fill it in. I won't interrupt you. When you finished it, then we'll score it and discuss the answers. Okay?
Okay.
Right, fine. Okay? So, if you were in a cast position, you would have filled it in for me. Right.
Yeah.
Fine. So, let's have a look at these answers then. How did you feel about doing this, Mrs. Wright?
It was quite interesting. It's interesting to see some of the things that were going through my mind, written down on the book. Yeah.
Was it a bit of a shock?
Well, it's interesting that there might be other people who do this.
You thought you were the only person who had that type of experience?
Some of it.
Yeah. So seeing it there, does that make it feel worse or better?
It's a bit strange seeing it written down. It kind of makes it a bit more real.
Yeah.
That's not nice.
That's not nice, is it? And often one of the things that people will say to me when they filled in this, that when they've actually filled all these questions in, they realise just how much of this there has been and how real it is for them, and they feel a little bit more down as a result of doing it. Yeah, you feel a bit like that. So it's, on the one hand, it's comforting to know other people have felt this way because it's in print, so they must have done. But on the other hand, it's also reminding you of just how bad things can feel for you at times. Yeah. And if I'd asked you to fill this questionnaire in a few weeks ago, do you think, say 4 weeks ago, do you think it would have been very different from this?
I think some of the things weren't as bad as this a few weeks ago. But some of the things are better than they were a few. Because I'm further away from the treatment now, so I don't feel so unwell. But I kept thinking that everything would get better, but the way I feel about myself is just getting worse.
Okay. Oh, and the other thing I was going to ask you is if I'd asked you to fill this in 12 months ago, if we met 12 months ago and filled this in, do you think it would have been like this?
I think I'd have been amazed that anybody could ever feel like these things.
Right. So it's very different from how you would have been 12 months ago. It's a bit different. better 12 months ago, a bit worse a few weeks ago. That's useful for me to know. Now, on the basis of these scores, it would appear that you've got a score of 16. Okay. Now, in my book, that's quite a good score, actually. That's an indication of what you were just saying about a bit better than it was a few weeks ago. Because that would, with the Beck Depression Inventory, they divide up the scores. They use the 4 categories: minimal, mild, moderate and severe. Okay? And with a score of 16, you're falling into the mild category. Now, I think probably, if I'd asked you to do this a few weeks ago, your score would have tipped over into the moderate or severe category. So you don't have the sort of clinical depression that people start talking about. Oh, we're going to need to give you antidepressants, and we're going to need to do this, and we're going to need to do that. You've got a score there that suggests that things are definitely on the mend. And yes, there's some things there we need to work on, because once upon a time you didn't have any depression. Now you've got a mild depression, and we need to actually work on that and see whether we can get it back down to the minimal sort of score. Okay. And it seems from this that the things that are probably pushing it up still quite high is that sense of lack of worth, I think, was one of the things. It was their sense of past failure, self-dislike, the worthlessness. They seem to be the ones that you scored quite highly on. Everything else seems to be quite low. So there seems to be something about the things that you're marking up here that are very much about you thinking badly of yourself.
They're all almost the same thing, really, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I think that I've had this really awful illness. I've gone through all of that treatment, and I felt really, really terrible. But if I was worth anything, I would just get on now and sort myself out. And I'm not doing that. And I just think it'll never be normal again. And it's my fault because I'm just not having that backbone to sort it out.
Right. That sounds like something that would be really worthwhile for us to work on. Because if we're going to get your mild depression score down to a minimal depression score, those are the things we perhaps need to target. Would you agree?
If we could change them.
I think it's worth us having a go, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay. Then let's turn our attention to what it is you mean by those things.